Hello, friends of Oak Hills. This is Pastor Dale with our weekly video Touchpoint. Today is Thursday, January 11th, 2024. For points upon our article, I have an article titled, You Are a Minister. If you have placed your faith in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you are a minister. No seminary degree required, no ordination, no prior examination, except perhaps for making a public profession of faith. No special talents or gifts separate the minister and the non-minister Christians. Every Christian is a minister. That is God's design. It doesn't mean every Christian ministers as God desires. Some deny that they have a ministry. Some question whether God could use them for ministry. Others are just caught up in looking after their own needs so much that they overlook serving others. Either you are a Christian serving or seeking to serve faithfully with the gifts and resources God has given you, or you are a Christian disobeying God's desire to use you to minister and bless others. Once again, this is not my design, it is God's design. Consider these scriptures. Number 1, Ephesians 4:12, the saints are to be equipped for ministry. Paul says that Jesus has given to the church the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, and teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry. In Paul's language, the saints are every believer. Those we often call ministers, that is, teachers or pastors in the church, are called to equip the saints, every believer, for the work of ministry. Number 2, 1 Corinthians 12:7. Every believer has been gifted by the Spirit to serve others. In the great chapter discussing spiritual gifts, Paul says, to each one is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. Paul uses the word manifestation to speak about the gifts of the Spirit that become manifest, that is, revealed within the church community as they are used. Paul says these gifts are for the common good, meaning they are for the service of others in the church. In a parallel passage in Romans 12:6, Paul commands, having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. Number 3, Galatians 6:2. Bearing others' burdens is ministry. In the context of restoring one who has been caught in transgression, Paul commands the church, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. These burdens are emotional, physical, and even spiritual. Instead of judging others when they sin, we are commanded to restore and help them. This is ministry. The writer of Hebrews commands in this vein, exhort one another every day as long as it is called today, that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. Ignoring or dismissing or downplaying the sin of others is of no ministry or service to them. And number 4, Ephesians 4:16. A healthy church requires every member ministering. Paul explains that the whole body, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. Every member of the church contributes to the health and growth of the church. There are more passages we can look at, but these give the big picture that it is God's design for you to be a minister in the church. The question then becomes, how are you doing? Are you serving? Are you serving, quote, by the strength that God supplies, 1 Peter 4:11? Are you looking, quote, not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others, Philippians 2:4? Are you, quote, striving side by side for the faith of the gospel with other members of the church, Philippians 1:27? Are you doing good to everyone, especially to those who are of the household of faith, Galatians 6:10? You are a minister and the church needs you. This is the topic that I will be teaching on for the next 6 weeks during our Sunday school hour at Oak Hills. I want to equip the saints for the work of ministry by outlining the scriptural guidelines for ministry. We will consider the character qualifications for ministers, the knowledge content, or what ministers need to know to minister effectively, and the competencies of faithful ministers in the church. I hope you'll be able to join us and that we will grow together as we seek to use our gifts to minister in God's church. A few highlights to touch on in the life of Oak Hills this month. As always, I want to remind you and encourage you to be praying for our missionaries of the month. This month, we are praying for Ben and Julie Jensen, serving with Mission to the World in Nagoya, Japan. They are on a church planting team. Ben preaches on a regular rotation in the church there, and they also serve with university students. And we could be praying just for their ministry outreach and impact in the lives of the Japanese that they have contact with. Pray for their language learning. They've been there for multiple years, and this is such a difficult language to master. They're still in classes, still learning, but they are doing ministry preaching in Japanese, but pray that they continue to acquire that language. Pray for their kids. Their kids would be blessed as they serve overseas, third culture kids. Over the next 4 weeks, there are something special happening at Oak Hills each Sunday. So I want to highlight each of these in chronological order. This Sunday, January 14th, our Sunday school hour resumes, and we are kicking off a new adult Christian education class. It's Equipped for Ministry. How did I title this class? Equipping the Saints, Ministry Training 101. I've already spoken about that. I'll be teaching that class, and then we have classes for our youth and children and younger kids. We'd love for you to come out on Sunday morning at 9:30. And then the following Sunday, on January 21st, we are holding a Getting Acquainted with Oak Hills luncheon after the worship service. This is for anyone who is interested in learning more about the history and the distinctives of Oak Hills. And it's also the first step in the process of becoming a member of our church. So we'd love for you to join us. There is an RSVP so that we make sure that we have enough food for everybody who's going to be there. And then in 3 Sundays, January 28th, there is an informational meeting for our summer Sacred Road missions trip. In the month of July, Pastor John is leading a team to Warm Springs, Oregon, and partnering with Sacred Road Ministries. And if you are interested in this trip or would like to just learn more about what's involved in being part of this trip, we'd love for you to come to this meeting following the worship service on January 28th and glean that information and find out what's the game plan of what's involved to be part of that team to go this summer. And then the last event, 4 Sundays from now, February 4th, we are holding our annual congregational meeting. We hold this meeting each year as an opportunity to update our church family, where we're at as a church and as a group of elders as we are looking ahead to the future, what we are praying about, and even a snapshot of our financial situation. I know many of you are thinking about that, and so we'd love for you to plan, be a part of, and stay with us for that congregational meeting following the worship service on Sunday, February 4th. This Sunday, I will begin a new sermon series. We are going to the Old Testament, and we are going to the very beginning. We are going to start in the book of Genesis. And Genesis is such a rich book, a foundational book for so much of what we know and believe about God and how he works and the way he acts through covenant. And I'm excited to dive into this rich book with our church family on Sunday mornings, but we'll begin this Sunday, and I hope you're able to join us. Well, thank you for joining me today for our weekly Touchpoint. I look forward to being with you soon. God bless.